Picture this. You are having a fantastic, busy day at your salon or spa. Everything's flowing, clients are happy. And then the door opens, and in walks a state inspector. For so many of us in the beauty industry, that moment feels like a surprise test you are not ready for. But what if I told you that knowing the rules isn't just about passing an inspection? What if it's the secret to protecting your license, your business, and your professional reputation? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, so that feeling, that moment of, uh-oh, what now? That's what we're going to tackle head on. Because what happens next really shouldn't be a mystery. It's a professional meeting, and you both have to play by the rules. And yeah, you heard me right. The rule book applies to the inspector just as much as it applies to you. And this right here, this is your playbook. Look, this isn't about being confrontational. It's about being educated. It shows you how two really powerful things, the ethics code and the open records law, come together. They create this system of fairness and transparency that, get this, protects both you and the inspector. But most importantly, it protects your hard-earned license. Now, to really get this, we've got to start by looking at the inspector's side of things. It's easy to think they just show up and make up rules, right? But nope. They have their own playbook, and it is ironclad. It's called the Executive Branch Code of Ethics. And understanding their rules is your first step to making sure every inspection is professional and fair. Here is the absolute key to all of this. Under Kentucky law, every single inspector is legally a public servant. Now, that's not just some fancy title. It is a legal status that holds them to the highest ethical standards possible. This is mandatory, it's not a suggestion. And honestly, this one little fact is the foundation of all your rights in this process. So what are these rules of the game? Well, they're laid out right here. An inspector cannot, under any circumstances, use their job for personal gain. They can't play favorites. They absolutely can't have a conflict of interest, like inspecting a competing business. Their entire job demands total integrity and neutrality. These aren't just nice ideas. They are the law, spelled out in what's called KRS Chapter 11A. And check this out. This is a really important legal idea you've got to know. It's called the appearance of impropriety. What it means is that it doesn't really matter what an inspector intended to do. What matters is how their actions look to a regular person. So if something looks like favoritism or a conflict of interest, it's a problem, period. This rule is here to protect our trust in the whole system. Okay, so knowing the inspector's rulebook, that's half the battle. The other half is knowing your rights. This is what shifts the dynamic from just, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best to you being an active, informed professional in the room. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, you have a right to be treated just like every other licensee out there, no exceptions. You have a right to professional, respectful behavior. Any instructions you're given, they need to be clear and easy to understand. And the whole inspection, from start to finish, has to be completely neutral and impartial. Now, here it is, the ultimate tool for making sure all those ethics rules are actually followed. It's the Kentucky Open Records Law. And this means that the agency's business is our business. Just think about that for a second. Official emails, text messages between staff members, those inspection reports, they are all generally considered public records. This is the law that keeps everything transparent. All right, so knowing your rights is one thing. Acting on them like a true professional is the next level. This part is all about what we call gold standard actions. These are the practical, smart things you can do to handle any inspection with total confidence and make sure you're protected. I want you to think of this as your personal toolkit for every inspection. If you're ever unclear on something an inspector says, your first move is simple. Ask for it in writing. It's also completely okay and super smart to ask, hey, could you please show me the exact regulation for that? And of course, save everything, every email, every text. Through it all, stay respectful. Remember, this isn't about starting a fight, it's about getting clarity. And just as important, you need to know what not to do. Arguing back and forth in the moment, it almost never helps and just makes things tense. Don't rush to fix something if you're not totally sure what's being asked. It's better to be right than to be fast. And please, don't guess what they want, and definitely don't just ignore their instructions. The goal is always, always to fully understand. So you've probably noticed I keep saying put it in writing. That's because it is, without a doubt, the most powerful tool you have in your possession. So let's just take a second to break down exactly why this is so important for your professionalism and for your protection. So why does this work so well?
Well, a written record is crystal clear, and it has a timestamp. There's no room for any he said, she said drama. It's super easy to share with your manager, an attorney, or even the board if you ever need to. It protects you by creating that clean paper trail, and you know what? It also protects the inspector by documenting their lawful instructions. Plus, it's a huge help if there's any kind of language barrier.
In this quote right here, it just says everything. Imagine saying this. A request like this isn't somebody being difficult or argumentative. This is a dedicated professional asking for clarity so they can follow the rules perfectly. It is a brilliant example of how using written communication makes the whole process fair for everyone. So, let's pull all of this together. We've looked at the inspector's rulebook and we've built your professional toolkit. But the real goal here isn't just to get through an inspection. It's about using this knowledge to lift up your own standards and become a true leader in our industry. This is the big takeaway. This is the mantra of a gold standard professional. Transparency is professionalism. Knowing the law isn't a headache, it's your armor. And over-compliance, that means always aiming higher than the bare minimum, that's what makes you excellent.
So the next time that door opens and an inspector walks in, you're not going to feel that jolt of panic. You're going to feel prepared. Because you are more than just a licensee. You are a regulated professional who knows the rules, who respects the process, and who operates with excellence. So the only real question left is, are you ready to be that gold standard professional?